will kick the day off at noon with college football with the Big 12 championship at BetMGM, the official odds provider of the Action Network podcast. Oklahoma is a 5.5-point favorite, over under 57.5. We were on Iowa State in the first meeting. They were catching the 7 at home. And now they're catching fewer points. There's a bad line. This is in Arlington. They're catching 5.5. We were on the money line, Iowa State there too. Yep. Iowa State, nation's leading rusher, Breece Hall. Then obviously Brock Tober, which hopefully this is Brock Sember. I like Iowa State here. I make this game closer to a field goal. I know there are some things to like about Oklahoma since that matchup, right? Their defense is playing really well. They have three of the best, per PFF, they have three of the best edge rushers in college football, all in the top 10 out of 197 edge rushers that have a minimum of 100 snaps. You got Ronnie Perkins, who didn't play in that first matchup, and he makes that defense a lot better. Nick Bonino and Isaiah Thomas, all three are in the top 10 of edge rushers. DJ Graham, a freshman corner, he's played real well. He also didn't play in that first matchup. So, they also have Stevenson back at running back, who didn't play in that first matchup. They were missing a lot of the running backs. Some transferred, some opted out. But Stevenson is back. Has ran it well. I think his numbers are a bit inflated because they played Kansas. If you look against Baylor, that offense really didn't do much at all through the air or on the ground. Iowa State, look, their offensive line has really come along since that opening loss against Louisiana. They had some injuries that game as well up front, but Colin Newell's been the anchor at center. Left guard, Schweiger, he's been awesome filling in for Trevor Downing, who was supposed to be one of their best offensive linemen. Downing could be back, by the way. Sean Foster has been great. Their left tackle as the season has gone on. And then they have two freshmen on the right side, in Simmons and Remsburg, who have just continued to improve. So that offensive line is playing really well. As a result, they 10th in sack rate, 13th in passing down sack rate. And the Oklahoma offensive line has been bad. Lost a lot of talent, and it just hasn't been great. And I think that's part of the reason why this offense it's a really good offense still, don't get me wrong, but it's not an offense that we're used to seeing with Lincoln Riley. It's not elite. It's not a top 2 or 3 offense that is just going to go out there and shred, and you're going to have to put up 40 or 50 to keep pace. It's more of it's probably the best defense we've seen in a long time at Oklahoma. Defense is top 10 EPA. So there are some things to like about Oklahoma here, but Iowa State, I just think that and I think that you're going to get to this, by the way. And I will say, look, I got to be fair. Rattler saw this defense. It was his first road game, and he's seen this Iowa State defense, so have more familiarity with it. But Iowa State and look, these are 2 top 25 offenses from yards per play and 2 top 10 rush defenses. They're both allowing 3.1 yards per rush or fewer. What I think the difference will be is the secondaries. And I trust Iowa State's secondary more than Oklahoma's, and I trust Purdy not to make the key mistakes. Rattler has cleaned them up for sure, but that was the difference in the first game. I think maybe you'll talk to Havoc numbers, but if you and Havoc allowed, and that speaks to the inexperience of Rattler, I know Oklahoma's been improving. Their defense is really good by all metrics, but their offense isn't as good, and we have to just chill out a little bit. They played Baylor. They won 27-14. Baylor was terrible this year. They played Oak State. Oak State's offense is a disaster this year. The game before that, they played Kansas. The game before that, they played Texas Tech. These are all disastrous offensive lines and bad offenses this year. And then before that, they played TCU. And then, they played Texas, they go up 45. They played Iowa State, they go up 37. They played Kansas State, gave up 38. So this is kind of like Alabama, where we're saying the defense is now all fixed and it's great and it's all roses. And but I don't necessarily think it's all solved on the back end. Alex Grinch is doing a wonderful job with this defense. This defense a couple of years ago was the worst Power 5 defense in the country. They're going to get a lot of pressure. They're going to be aggressive, but they're going to give up explosive plays. I think Purdy can take advantage. Breece Hall can take advantage, just like did in the first matchup. Rattler makes a mistake or two. I think this game goes either way. But I'll take the 6. If it gets up to 7, and there's Oklahoma money in the market because of some of these improvements on Oklahoma. I'll take more at 7. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for all week is 7, and I'm going to echo sentiments that you have about the narrative that's been built around Oklahoma. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong on this, but there is some sort of thing going around that I've heard this week where it's Oklahoma has greatly improved and Spencer Rattler has become much more comfortable in the pocket since the last time these two teams met. Oklahoma's defense is grinchier too. It's playing so much better than it has the last time these two teams met. Hold on, that's horseshit. All right, quit populating my eardrums with horseshit. When when Oklahoma played Iowa State, if you look at the advanced stats, things have not changed. Spencer Rattler posted a 58% success rate. He threw for 300 yards. He was hurried 3 times and had 2 sacks. Let's look at the game since then. Baylor, 4 sacks, 1 hurry. 1 hurry. Rattler, 57% success rate. Against Oklahoma State, 58% success rate, 1 hurry, 3 sacks. TCU, he threw for 332 yards on 13 completions, but a 55% success rate. The same success rate and the number of yards and the times he was pressured was the same in Iowa State as it has been in the wins since. That is not why they lost the game. The reason they lost the game is because of how terrible they were against explosive plays in the second half, and they gave up a kick return for 63 yards that landed at like the OU 13. And so that's really the difference. Oklahoma's explosive play defense must step up. Second half against Iowa State. Iowa State had drives of 3 plays, 75 yards, 4 plays, 55 yards, a 63-yard kick return for field position at the 13, and an eventual ISU touchdown. That's what happened in the second half of the game, and that was the difference. Now, is that going to change? Has Oklahoma shown me enough against the Oklahoma States and the Baylor offenses of the world to make me think that this isn't going to happen in the second half? Breece Hall, the quietest Heisman campaign run I've ever seen in the history of Heisman runs, will be why
Nation's leading rusher. No one even knows.
It's insane. I mean, he's the reason that Iowa State's going to cover and probably win. Iowa State is top 20 in standard down success rate, and that's evident by success rate numbers in rush and pass. It doesn't matter how you split it, Brock Purdy or Breece Hall, they are really violent on offense in early downs. They are getting it done. Oklahoma's been decent in standard downs. They're 38th in defensive success rate, but the explosiveness is where the problem is. In first and second down, Oklahoma cannot handle an offense that is trying to shoot deep, that is shooting threes against them, to use an NBA term. Welcome back, NBA. Oklahoma is 124th on defense during standard downs against explosiveness. Breece Hall and Brock Purdy are going to find ways again to expose that. Matt Campbell's an amazing coach. Both these teams are top 10 in offensive finishing drives, so I do think there's going to be some points. 67 points last time these teams played. What are we sitting at, 58 right now in the market? I know that game last time had some field positions, some really good appealing field positions for those easy scores, probably why the game sailed over to 67. But I prefer the over in here, but I'm with you. I want Iowa State. If it's at 6.5, I'll buy the hook to get to 7 just to ensure it. I think they're worth a money line play. I don't want to play 5.5. There's no reason to play 5.5. We're going to go one way or the other. I doubt the game lands on 5. I've seen crazier things this year. I love Iowa State here. And Oklahoma is just not going to be able to stop standard downs explosiveness. Nothing has changed with that over the last 4 games. And this narrative about how they've gotten better on both sides of the ball, that stuff needs to stop.
Yeah, they've also just not played anywhere near the caliber of Iowa State and Texas and all those teams they were playing earlier in the year, where some of the things look shaky.